Yep, that's me. I bet you're wondering how I got in this situation. Well, it all started with another beautiful day on Peregrine. We were riding high with our optimism after our second day on the island. The museum was under construction, the island shop was now open, and we were excitedly looking ahead to the future and the possibility of new friends on our island. After a couple of visits to Swag House, I was feeling and looking good. Our goals for the day were simple. I was going to put down the first bridge, get our first 3 villager houses ready, and I had the bold and audacious plan to let the plots autofill. As always, Mabel was at Nook's Cranny and promised a better-dressed island for us all. There was nothing too exciting for sale, but at this stage in the game, anything was something for the catalog. And anything I could throw on the ground to convince KK Slider we had style. Sure, my standards were low, but my hopes were high. This is normally the part of the game that really drags for me, and I'm sure that most of you probably get it. For me, decorating my island and getting to know my villagers and how they interact is what makes the game so special. I love when your island really starts coming together and being your own. So the waiting period between the first couple days and when the rest of your villagers move in is a challenge for me. So the anticipation of who would be joining us on Peregrine was building, and I found myself racing to see how soon we could meet these new friends. And at this stage in the game, I wasn't even really too worried. My list of truly unforgivable villagers is short, and I actually really like most peppy, nice, and lazy villagers. In fact, the only ones out of those 3 categories that I actually can't stand is Barreled. So I was much more worried about the potential dangers I would face in the next episode with our campsite, where I've historically had abominable luck. But as I said, these were worries that could wait for another day, and in the meantime, Peregrine could celebrate our progress and get our island ready for whoever it was fate decided to bring us. And celebrate we did. We held our first ceremony for the new shop, and this time, when asked to speak, I didn't say howdy. We were a motley crew, but a crew we were, and I was confident we would convince KK Slider to get here in no time. I decided to make a visit to our neighbors since they were hiding out from the bad weather, and discovered both of them now had houses. I was happy enough for them both. Clown and Canberra or no, living in tents wasn't the vibe for anyone on Peregrine. We got our bridge set up on the left side of the island, not too worried about the particular placement. I took care of the houses as quickly as I could, excited to time travel and see who would be joining us. I've done this enough times that I could make quick work of all 3 and got back to Tom Nook in record time. It seemed he was just as excited as I was, presumably so that there would be 3 more people on the island, whose entire livelihoods, assets, and incomes would be completely dependent upon his commerce and ownership of the island we supposedly owned our houses on. After all, is there ever really true home ownership when we live under the thumb of the ruling class? Anyways, I stopped by one more time to talk to Canberra, who confirmed that she would be doing nothing to carry her weight. Then I headed back to my house to save and get ready to time travel, where it was gone. The game footage recording what I experienced, the proof was gone. It was as if whatever dark hand had dealt us our fate had seen fit to deny us the chance to show you what happened. So for lack of any way to recover it, let's sit together in the aftermath, and I will try to explain how this dark timeline came to pass. It started innocently, if unfortunately enough. The first house I saw had been sold to Gabby from our one and only island tour. The second, however, belonged to Peaches. Sure, she was probably a radioactive dead horse, but really, there were worse flaws one could have, and as a normal villager, was she really likely to cause us any problems? When eventually I met her, she was nice enough outside of her borderline Coraline eyes. I could live with her not seeing me for however long her presumably brief stay on our island would be. But I was not prepared for what our next trial by fire on Peregrine would be. I ask you, dear audience, if you have been paying attention, what is the one villager out of 413 possibilities that I said was intolerable? What was the sole lazy villager I said I did not like? What was that 0.24% chance I said did not mean the standard of reasonably tolerable? Why is it, I ask, that God sees fit to punish the good and the just? Why is it that these things can happen if God is all good, all-knowing, and all-powerful? I want to thank you for coming to Clown Town, but in doing so, do I become complicit? If you are someone who takes pleasure in the suffering and downfalls of others, by all means, like and subscribe. You'll see soon enough how this dark timeline ends.